Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Vicious and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be doing a product review, and this is going to be a shootout between actually a set of 4 different budget microphones that someone might want to use at home if they're going to be doing entry-level voiceovers, voice recording, instruments, and things of that nature. So basically, I was going to review these individually, but I decided since I'm going to be doing microphone comparisons in the reviews, it makes more sense to go ahead and knock out all 4 at the same time. So it's a big shootout. And the 2 microphones in the middle are the MXL 990 and MXL V63M, both at about $100 each. And then I threw in 2 like wild cards that are different in some way, and that's going to be the Shure SM58. It's also about $100, but it's different because it's a dynamic microphone and not a condenser, and I'll get into that in a minute. And lastly is the Blue Yeti Pro. It's different because it's the only one that has more than one capsule. It's made to do multi-directional recording, and it costs more than the rest. It costs about $200 instead of $100. However, you can get the regular Yeti, the non-Pro version, for about $100, and it offers the same capsules, same recording features, and about the same quality, just that it's USB only and it doesn't give you the XLR connection. So let me introduce the microphones real quick, show you our testing setup, and then the rest of the review is going to be behind the computer while I do voiceovers. That way I can test out the microphones and let you hear the differences. So first up, it's kind of long and slender. It's black. This is the MXL V63M. This is our large diaphragm condenser microphone. This has a 32mm condenser. If you go and look up images on it on Google, if you can see through the head basket, which you're not going to in this video, it's a fairly large diaphragm on there. So that's a nice voiceover mic. It's good for instrumental recording. This is what I'm going to be using from this point forward in most of my other videos because it's my favorite microphone right now. And that one goes for about $100. Next, we'll grab the MXL 990. It's a little bit shorter and more fat. This is also a condenser microphone, and it's considered a small diaphragm condenser microphone. It has a 22mm diaphragm in there, so the capsule is a little bit smaller, but that doesn't mean that it can't work as well, because when I grab the next one, this is the Blue Yeti Pro, and this is the microphone I've been using on all of my recordings for the last year or so, and it only has 14mm for the capsule size, so it's much smaller. Despite that, I think this is the most sensitive microphone I have. When I connect it up to the setup, I require much less pre-gain, and it picks up a lot more of the environment noise than the other models, and that's something we'll cover also when we get to explaining the microphones in detail and doing the recording test. So like I said, what makes this one stand out, it's much bigger and heavier than the rest. It has stereo recording. It does left and right because it has 3 capsules inside, and it does USB connection or XLR connection, while all the other microphones are only XLR. So this has so many features, built-in headphone monitoring, so you don't have to have a piece of software or hardware to monitor yourself as you're recording. When it comes to features, this one trumps all the rest because it has way more features, way more capability, more capsules, but you're paying for it. This cost about $200 versus the $100 of the rest. Again, check out the Blue Yeti non-Pro version if you want to shoot for that $100 range. And I do believe I have reviews of all of these Blue Yeti microphones already, so if you want to see the full detailed review of that, go check it out and you can get the detailed review of that model. And last, the wrench I'm throwing in here, the Shure SM58. And this is well known around the world as the de facto standard for performance microphones when you're on stage. You would never think, at least I never thought, to use a microphone like this at home in a recording studio environment for voiceovers, because I'm always seeing the big, condenser microphones and the pop filters and the mixer and the phantom power. This never occurred to me being something like that, but I did a video just last week using this microphone, and the results were outstanding. And I'll tell you the biggest pros, the biggest benefits off the top of my head. This is a dynamic microphone. I bought it to do interviews because I can record in this in the field without phantom power. So you don't have to have phantom power to use this microphone. That's a pro, that's a benefit. The other thing is, because the pressure of your voice is what is powering this device, it's less sensitive, and that translates into, for one, you want to get closer to it when you're talking into it, but it means it doesn't pick up background noise nearly as much. And right now, for this entire video, I'm going to keep the air conditioning on so you can hear background noise being picked up. This microphone almost doesn't pick up any background noise. And when it comes to home recording environments where you have lawnmowers outside, cats running around, fan noise from your computer, air conditioning, this might be actually the best bet for you because it helps reduce all of those noises. So I'll make sure I cover that in more detail as well. So that's the introduction. I'm going to cut real quick, show you the testing setup so you know exactly how we're testing all these microphones against each other, and then we'll get into the actual test. Okay everybody, welcome to my desk. It's a bit of a mess, even though I cleaned it up a little bit. There's just too many things to fit in one small space. So here's the 4 microphones, kind of up close and personal real quick. We have the, let me focus. Manual focus. So there's the V63M, the 990, the Yeti Pro, and the SM58. Those are going to be plugged into my Yamaha MG82CX mixer. So we'll use one of the channels, and here is where we're going to apply preamp. So I make sure that all the microphones are given the exact same level of preamp, and then we'll keep all the settings the same as far as down here. And I might just barely tweak the output levels just a little bit so that when I'm speaking into the microphone, I see that I get the same level of sound out of each microphone, so that way they sound more or less the same as far as volume while I'm recording. But I'll make notes during each microphone test how much preamp and how much additional gain I had to give to make it sound its best. And that's going to be going out of here directly into my computer where I have a dedicated sound card, and we'll be doing the recording from there. All of my encoding and such, it will be high quality encoding, not like compressed MP3 stuff. Of course, YouTube is going to compress it a little bit when we get there. And microphone boom is where we'll be putting everything with a double pop filter. There's 2 pieces of cloth in there to help prevent the pops. And then there's my old one right there. I just finally got rid of that. That one's the one I built myself. I think I did a tutorial on that. It did really good for a long time, but I finally spent the money to buy one. So that's the testing setup. Let's go ahead and get behind the computer screen and see what we can do with all these tests. Hello everybody, and welcome to the microphone shootout. This is going to be the first contender. This is the MXL V63M. So this is our condenser microphone, and it's set up with about 3/4 pre-gain on the Yamaha mixer, and I've normalized it to a negative 18 decibels at my normal speaking volume. So this is where the baseline will be set for all the other microphones. Now I decided not to use the pop filter setup and have the microphones straight out of the box. That way you can tell if there's any differences between the plosives, the P's and the S's, the silences. That's how all the microphones will be tested. I'm facing directly at the microphone, and it's finger length away, meaning if I stick my thumb and my pinky out as wide apart as I can, that is exactly where I have the microphone positioned, and that's about 6 or 7 inches, and that'll be the same for all the other microphones as well. So right now the fan is on in the background, which is the air conditioning, and that normally gets picked up really easily with the Blue Yeti, and I'm not really hearing it much on the monitors, so I don't think it's being picked up too much. I'm about I'd say half a foot, but also 6 inches above my keyboard, so I'll just type in a couple of keys real quick. This is how much noise would be picked up if I was typing during a tutorial, which I do a lot of. So that is this microphone, so you can hear how well it picks up my voice, how it sounds like as far as warmness, darkness, and then what kind of background noise it picks up. This is currently my favorite microphone, and the one I'll continue using on all my future videos. And well, I should say for now, let me interject and just tell you that this review is a placeholder for another video coming up for the MXL 990. I'm going to be going to a website and purchasing parts to do an upgrade on that microphone, and make it supposedly as nice as a $2,000, $3,000 microphone using professional quality parts. So that's another video for another day, but I'll just give you a heads up that it is coming, and this video will be important so you can hear the before and after. So we'll cut here and we'll go ahead and plug in the MXL 990 next. Hello everybody, and welcome to the next microphone contender. This is the MXL 990. So same setup as before. We have no pop filter, fingers lengths apart, which is about 6 inches away from me, and I'm talking right into it. The gain was bumped just a little bit higher than it was for the V63M, so this microphone seems to be just a little bit less sensitive. From what I hear on the monitors, it sounds like it's picking up sibilances, meaning my S's, a little bit more than it was on the other. So it's a little bit brighter, as they say, picks up more of the high pitches rather than a darker microphone, which is more the lows. I personally prefer the lows. Now, if you talk to me day-to-day stuff like life at work, I don't really have a low voice. But when I do voiceovers, I seem to get into this voiceover mode and I talk a little bit differently. And that's when I usually get like, hey, how you doing? And I get those lows going. So this microphone doesn't fit me as well, in my opinion, but that's why all these tests are here, is for you to hear it for yourself and decide. Now, this is a good microphone, and this is the microphone that will be used for those modifications and upgrades I was talking about, mostly because it's very moddable. So is the other microphone as well, and because I don't like it as much as a bass as the V63M, I'm willing to part ways with its stock state and upgrade it and see what happens. I do like that it's a shorter, fatter microphone versus the V63M. It just makes it fit better, and it came with a shock mount, but I don't use the shock mount because honestly I felt the shock mount did not work very well. I was hearing just as much thump noise coming through my microphone stand with or without it, so it was a kind of pointless shock mount. So this was the MXL 990 once again. Next, we're going to go ahead and plug in the Blue Yeti Pro. Hello everybody, and welcome to the third and last of our condenser microphones. This is the Blue Yeti Pro, and since this is a multi-pattern microphone, it's currently in the cardioid mode. If I said that properly, that would be the one that only uses the front condenser capsule. Therefore, it's emulating acting just like the other two microphones. Now, this is by far much more sensitive than the other microphones. I turned my pre-gain all the way down, and if I flick my fingers, I can still get the microphone to clip on the pre-gain. So this is much more sensitive than the other microphones, and I've always felt like it picked up the background noise in my apartment more than the other microphones. I try to baseline it the same as all the others with gain, but I can tell just from looking at the recording right now that it's picking up a little bit more volume, so it's going to be a little bit louder. But what I'm hearing in the monitors right now is I'm not hearing the depth and the richness of my voice that I heard in the other two microphones. And that might be partially due to the capsule being so much smaller at a 14 millimeter size versus the V63M at 22, and then the 990 at, I'm sorry, I said that backwards, the 990 at 22 and the V63M at 32. The larger surface area allows it to interact with the air pressure and everything much more, and I think it can give you a higher quality recording because of that. So I think what they had to do to compensate is make this very, very sensitive, and I think that's why it picks up the background noise so easy. That can be good though, because that means this can get much, much louder than the other microphones if I want to give it more gain. But usually too much is not good. You want to keep it at a certain level, that way you don't clip. And so anyways, yeah, the recording is here for you to hear yourself. You can decide, does this sound better or worse. Again, this is more expensive than the other two at $200 versus $100, but it is a much more multifaceted tool. It has stereo left and right recording, it has cardioid, and it also does a bidirectional and omnidirectional. So you can use it for a lot more things. You can throw this in the middle of a conference room table and record that entire room's conversation, when the other microphones that we've used so far are not suited for something like that. This also works as a USB microphone and an XLR microphone, meaning you don't have to buy a piece of equipment that costs you money to provide that phantom power. It can be plugged directly into a computer through USB, and you can start recording. However, I mentioned now, like I mentioned previously in the review, when I did the detailed review of this product, if that's your only goal, get the regular Yeti, not the Yeti Pro. It's $100 cheaper, and it comes through louder. They designed this to be more of a musician's microphone, so it takes a little bit more volume for it to pick up in USB mode. So I noticed that my recordings were a little bit too quiet, even at the highest gain settings, when working the microphone through USB. So once again, this was the Blue Yeti Pro in cardioid mode. We'll move on to our last contender, which is the Shure SM58. Hey everybody, welcome back for the final part of our microphone shootout, and we're now recording on the Shure SM58. Now this one is way different than the rest. This is our only dynamic microphone. So right now on the Yamaha mixer, the phantom power is turned off, and yet I can still record with this microphone. When using my Zoom H2N, which is a field recorder, I have recorded with this by taking an XLR into 1/8 inch headphone jack adapter, and that worked just fine. You could not do that with any of the condenser microphones because they require the phantom power. This is also much more structurally sound than all the other microphones. This one is almost bulletproof. You can drop it, you can hammer a nail with it, this microphone will take some serious abuse, and that's why it's earned its reputation and become probably one of the world's leading stage microphones. So I have always thought about this as a stage microphone and not as a home studio recording microphone. But as you can hear now, it actually does a pretty darn good job. Now, the other thing about the dynamic microphone is volume and voice placement and microphone placement make a huge deal. So by far this is the least sensitive of all the microphones. I have the pre-gain almost all the way up, and as a matter of fact it would be all the way up, but I noticed I start getting noise from the mixer if I crank it past about 90%, and that would be really falsifying for the microphone to give you that noise from the mixer that shouldn't be there because I'm maxing out the gain. So that's why the volume might be just a little bit lower on this microphone than the others, because I couldn't quite get the gain on the pre-gain side as high as the other microphones due to the sensitivity. But here's the great thing about the SM58. Microphone placement. All I have to do is move it a little bit closer to me, and then suddenly things really pick up in a way that the other microphones don't quite do. If you try this with one of the condenser microphones, it's going to get too overpowering, and your P's and your S's really start to destroy everything. And this is really great for getting good signal to noise ratio. If I gain the microphone in such a way that I'm working with it really close, then I can have it so that when I'm typing on the keyboard that you basically don't even pick it up. So it helps block out that background noise a lot better than the other microphones in my opinion, and it's very directional. I'm talking into the top of the microphone right now, and that to me is it's the only spot that really picks up the sound, and therefore if I put the keyboard and all the other noises away from that side, it helps block out the noise. If I turn the microphone sideways and I talk over the top of it like this, you'll see how much of a difference that makes with the directionality. So this is a very directional microphone. I think that Shure actually says for the most natural sound, you want to talk over the top of the microphone, as in what I'm doing right now. But when I'm doing field interviews and I'm recording at home, I talk down into it and focus my voice into it, and that brings out the depth and the lows and the that's what I was looking for. And I think of all the microphones, the V63M and this one are the only two that really do that well for me. So I was really impressed. And then the great thing about this microphone is it'll be really easy to get plugged into your computer without expensive phantom power equipment, and you can take it with you on the road, and you never have to worry about it getting broken, and it's just a great microphone. So that is all of the recording part of this review. I hope that you guys were able to listen to all these sound samples and decide for yourself which microphone is best and why. And keep in mind that while they're all priced very similarly, they all have different functions and features that might make them better for you. So think about what you're needing it for, where you're going to be applying it. Is it going to be in the middle of your apartment living room like I am, or is it going to be in a recording environment where you have all the sound blocked out like your own little recording closet? So those are really important things to take to mind. So I would really appreciate if you guys like the video, to say thanks for the time it took to make it. And I really want to hear your comments on which microphone you think sounds best, because that's what's going to help me decide what microphone I want to use in all my future videos. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This is Vicious, and I'll see you guys next time.